Sitrep, morning of day 4 in Renmark. We start. Arrived here last night after dark and found that there was no accommodation to speak of other than this place, which is a really nice motel. I took the last room. They gave me a single rate, but it's a family room, and it was good. So all that really needs to happen this morning is going to check this oil. Okay, what's that look like? Okay, it's showing a little bit of usage. Give it a wipe and then put it back in. Okay, we've used, this is a level ground, isn't it? Yeah. It's about 3/4 of a pint in about 600 kilometres. So I don't mind it using a little bit of oil, that's fine. The only other thing I need to do, I'm just going to put some fuel, some sort of leaded substitute in the fuel tank. Oh, I locked it. Well done. Keys. Useful. Upside down, maybe? Yeah. Some valve saver fluid. Now you only need 50 millilitres for a full tank of juice, so I'm going to put you down to do that because it's hard to judge. And that is that. Alright, I'm off. Going to try and get some decent Ks in today. And at the first stop I'm going to throw some juice, let's check the room, make sure there's nothing in here. Okay, I'll throw some oil in, just a bit of a top up there. Signing off. I'm just warming up here before we get off. Not too cold this morning, it was only 6 degrees overnight, so that's good. I'm going to try and go as far as I can today in South Australia. Port Augusta is the minimum, that's a bit over 400 kilometres away. Ideally I'd get to Ceduna today. Now, that being said, it's about 8:45 at the moment, so 10 hours makes it pretty dark, so I won't want to really arrive in the dark, so I'll play it by ear as I have been. Who knows what could happen today. So anyway, so I'll get going, drop this key back, and we will be off. Catch you later. Okay, so leaving Renmark. It's just after 9 in the morning now. Reflections on yesterday. Well, it's quite a comfortable little car to drive actually. It's noisy, as you'd expect. I have 2 layers of hearing protection. I've got some earplugs, and I also have some noise cancelling headphones, and yesterday I had both on at one point. And anyway, enough of looking at me, look at the road. So yeah, very, very pretty part of the world. We got lots of grapevines and the like. that'll be stone fruit of some sort. Yeah, looking forward to getting some kilometres under my belt today. The wheel hub I have dutifully ignored. Actually, it's nice to wake up and not have to do some mechanical work and just get going. So I'm doing the right thing by ignoring what's going on there. It's not terrible in fairness. On a smooth road you can't hear it, so it's all good. Signing off. Yeah, sign back there says uneven surface for the next 3 kilometres. Great. In fairness, it's not too bad so far. We're about 500 metres in. Maybe it's uneven for South Australia. Oh, it's uneven. This is where we experience the phenomena in a hydroelastic suspension equipped car called heaving. That's because when the front hits a bump, it pressurizes the rear, so you end up staying flat, but you bob up and down. Okay, I'm being overtaken now by a caravanist, which is good. Oh, he's got a big one. And we've got a semi-trailer, so I like to slow down for these guys. It's a road train of sorts. Okay, we've been going a couple of hours now. I'm on a road called the Goida Way, and it's taking me through, I suppose, some of the more barren landscapes, sort of Nullarbor, no trees. Not actually the Nullarbor though, but I think I'm going to stay at a favourite tonight. It's the halfway point across Australia called Kimber. It's a reasonable compromise to staying at Ceduna. Ceduna's too far away. I'll get there at darkness, after dark actually, 7 PM or something. So yeah, it's I think up ahead, try and do a bit of a zoom here. In the distance is the Flinders Ranges, I think. Yeah, but we're travelling along okay. Catch you later. Got a fuel stop coming up in about 100 kilometres. Okay, so I thought I'd turn the camera back on. We're approaching the Flinders Ranges up here, but the roads have become characteristically South Australian, which is awesome. I can't even hear that hub as I drive along. Occasionally there's a little bit of a irregularity in the road and you can hear it, but otherwise it's quiet, which is a good thing. The other thing I reflected on was at Renmark, when I passed judgment on how much oil the thing has used. I think I got the distance incorrect, because I put I topped the oil up at Goulburn, which I think would have to be 1,000-ish kilometres. So what I'm going to do at the fuel stop up here, assuming it's eaten up the rest of that pint, so if we're a pint short, I'll work out how many kilometres per pint. Okay, I'm going to stop here for some fuel. A place called Burra. Do a few calculations as well. This apparently is a historic or national heritage place. Wow. It's a really picturesque. Beautiful day too. Pleasant temperature. It's probably about 17 degrees, something like that. Okay, just put 16 and a bit litres in it. That was for 200 kilometres. So yeah, not doing too badly. That was about 8.4 litres to the 100. I really can't put my finger on the wild variation in fuel consumption that's going on here. When I say wild, sort of a litre per 100 kilometre difference. Anyhow, so on the oil front, it hasn't quite used a pint yet, so I'm going to keep going. 1,200 kilometres since I put the pint in. Well, yeah, it was a pint I put in. I topped it off anyway, so it hasn't gone back down to the mark yet. So yeah, we'll see. It'll probably at the 1,500 kilometre mark, it'll probably be done. So I'm just going to stop here and grab some lunch. It's a really pleasant little place, and then I'll get going again. That's us at the service station. So there's your town hall. I wonder what that used to be. Courthouse? It's now an art gallery and a church. All done on the same sort of stone. Really pretty little river running through. And there's Mo. Alright, I just gave a look out over the old Burra mine, which was started I think in 1845. Interesting fact, by 1850 this was the largest metallurgical mine, and it was producing 5% of the world's copper up to 1860, so they did smelting of it too, by the looks here. So yeah, historical place. Interesting. Yeah, that's, I guess, where the town water supply comes from. Gratuitous car shop. Off we go. Alright, Sidrap, we're leaving Port Augusta for Kimber, and this road I'm on right now, I did this one on the motorbike trip across Australia, and man, it's rough as guts. It's a 100 zone here. I'm flat out doing bloody 40 k's an hour because it's so flogged out. Taking it super easy here. Last thing I want is one of the hydroelastic suspension bags to blow out. That would be trip over at that point. Number one, you can't readily get a hydroelastic bag. Number two, if I could fit it myself, which I probably could, you need to recharge the system with a dedicated service tool and dedicated fluid, neither of which I would have access to. So yeah, so prudent speed is what's required here. Alright, so up ahead of us is Iron Knob. It's an iron ore mine. It's inside here. Favourite time of the day, really. The sun's starting to go down, and some sheeps. Those sheeps. Yeah, I've taken about 5 to 10 kilometres per hour out of my top speed, and I think I found a bit of a sweet spot at sort of 82 kilometres per hour. Doesn't sound like much, Probably could walk faster, but it's really enjoying it much more. And the thing with this road is, I'll try and get a rear view, not of me, is that, you know, that's the view behind. Typically there's just no traffic coming westbound my way. I haven't been overtaken in about an hour. So there's the knob dealer iron. It's really curious topography out here. It looks like red desert dunes that have got vegetation on them. Distinct lack of trees. You could be up in the Pilbara in Western Australia. Yeah, so I thought that'd be interesting for you. I'll get back to my slow crawl into Kimber. Favourite parts of the journey is sort of the endless road, especially when it's flanked by forest like this. It's really cool. You can see the road just goes right off into the distance. Nearly there. I think about 30 kilometres left. When I get there, I'm going to get some fuel. There's a free local council campsite here, so I do need to get some gold coin. It's a gold coin donation to use the facilities. Shower facilities, toilets are free. I'll also need to go to the supermarket. I'll go tomorrow morning, I think, because after I've eaten my salmon and stir-fry veg for dinner, that's it. I've eaten my lunchtime food. So, okay, we're coming into Kimber. The big galah. That's where we got 24-hour diesel. What if they do petrol as well? Might check them out. The 80 zone. We're already doing about 70, so Kimber welcomes me. That's pretty good. Is, according to that, halfway across Australia. Well, yes. Okay, I've arrived at the free camp at Kimber and put up the $14 tent. Finally realised that the optimal way of putting that thing up is not to peg it down first. Those of you who've done camping school know that you always peg your tent down first and then put it up. But no, this thing just literally try and stick the poles in and get it all done before you peg it down, and it's much easier. So what I'm going to do is, this is the car cover here. It got damp when I put it on in Goulburn, so I'm going to just dry that out, and I'm going to take the car apart, take the boot apart to give it a good tidy up, and I'll show you what tools I brought, those that I think are pretty essential. So I'll just set up in a sec. Alright, so this is a mix of things I've accumulated on the trip and the things I planned to bring. So, accumulated some super glue and some graphite lubricant. Some RTV was on the list of things. Cotter pins were accumulated. Fuel filter on the list of things. Fuses on the list of things. Some tyre sealant. Vice grips, there's 3 of them because they only came in a kit of 3. Would have only bought 1. Some gaffer tape. Yellow wire with a crimping set. Reason I chose the yellow is that if I did make a repair, it'd be easy to identify later. 10 litres of fuel. Multimeter. I've used the multimeter. I've used the vice grips on the trip so far. I've got some steel weld, some zip ties, rubber tongue. If I had done this again, I would have got a rubber tongue and 2 steel ones. Accumulated a torque wrench and a 34mm end, some nitrile gloves, 12 pack of water for drinking and for potentially saving the car. That needs to be restocked. I've only got 6 left. A pile of rags, that was part of the list. Some spray lubricant, brake cleaner, absolutely invaluable. These 2 also on the list. Brought these with me. These are off my Mini back in Perth. You got a distributor there which has condenser points, and there's a coil as well in case this one has issues with electricals. Little socket set, which is a mix of imperial and metric. Need imperial for this car. This little kit's been really good and used. Incidentally, the socket set was used. So I used this one for the front hub job, Phillips and flat screwdriver, plus another smaller stubby screwdriver which takes these adapters. Tiny socket set for these, air pressure gauge, magnet, torch, Allen keys, mini adjustable wrench and insulating tape, and a blade, of course with our pointy nose pliers. This almost didn't do the job of cracking off the top ball joint nut, because the ball joint nut has a mushroom on top of it for a bump stop. You can't put a socket on it, you have to have that, so that was no good. A litre of oil, which I kept a bottle because now I can measure a litre into here when it's asking me for a litre, and that's really in essence it. 5 litres of 10W30 oil. But yeah, it's certainly got me out of trouble. It's a fairly extensive kind of a kit, but the way I arrived at this was I did a more or less a failure modes analysis on the entire car and came up with what components could go pop, and made sure I had everything available to address that. So there you go. These miscellaneous parts I'll just put back in the Aldi bag, and that'll be it. So I'll restack the boot and make sure it's nice and neat. Yes, of course, and let's not forget the brake fluid, which I found in the boot, and the valve saver. This bad boy has to stop my valves receding because I don't run leaded fuel. There we go. Okay, dinner tonight is going to be salmon, and I'll finish off the stir fry, and that would be it before I need some groceries. So get it all happening. Thankfully there's no wind here. It's a little bit windy at the last stop. Okay, this is going to be ready pretty quickly. I'm not going to bother filming the cooking process. I'm going to enjoy the eating process. And that's your salmon. One criticism of this stove is that that's as low as you can do. That's as low as she goes, and that's pretty hot. So it's a matter of pulling it off the heat every 5 seconds. Otherwise it will burn. Okay, so I'm going to have a cold refreshment soon. I think that's just going. It's more or less dry. Okay, I'll leave you. See ya. So there you go. I managed to pilot a bunch of stir-fry greens on top of the spinach, top of the salmon, and I also managed to get the flame turned right down. It's sort of kind of dodgy, but if I were to just move it slightly that way, it would go to its lowest setting. That's off. It's sort of halfway between lowest setting and off, but it's working. Just give it a bit more of a slower cook because that salmon's pretty thick. Okay, and there is the finished item. 2 salmon steaks with some greens. And that salmon's just flaking away, nice and warm in the middle. Delicious. I'm going to eat that now.